Yeah, hello everyone. Thank you so much for coming. Really appreciate it. I really love this conference. Like, it's the conference where I learned a lot of stuff, so I'm really honored to be also speaking here today. Yeah, I'm Samo. I represent this organization, stands for Animal Enterprise Transparency Project, AETP, and I come from Slovenia. And Jiri just told me that I should make certain so people know where that is and how tiny it is. It's a 2 million inhabitant country. It's between Italy, Hungary, Austria, Croatia. So I guess for our American friends, like, you kind of know where Italy is. It's like eastern of Italy. Yeah. Damn, I didn't. Okay, so yeah, a little bit about me. I co-founded this organization, and it's kind of I feel I'm kind of this filler role. I find myself in all the time. Like, there is things that are not happening in Slovenia, campaigns, and I kind of want to fill the gaps. So this has been done for both investigations now in Slovenia, but now also for doing legislative welfare campaigns. And I've been in animal rights activism for 7 years, and it's still my biggest passion. So this was like 7 years ago, very early on, circus protests. My dogs were still young, like, this is my future ex-wife, and I was very excited about it. And even then I had like this mindset, oh, things can be done better, right? Like, the protest was not very effective. Like, people had counter tactics. They were like blasting their music, and I already wanted to like take an axe to their power cable, things like that. I mean, I luckily didn't do it, but yeah, like, this is kind of the mindset. So yeah, still going strong, still kind of excited. So yeah, about this talk, my target audience is basically people in my position about a year ago. So people before, from very small organization or not even organized, before they start their big campaign. So what would I want to know in their position, but I couldn't really find readily on the internet or other resources. And yeah, I'll go a bit into the moving parts of the campaign, and then the main points will be, this is a fundraising series after all, about the principle of growing while campaigning. You can absolutely do both at the same time. It's really mutually reinforcing. It works good. And some mindset shifts that we had to do along the way, and other learnings. Yeah. Okay, so a very brief history. We started with the investigation, did 3 very successful ones. There were good releases, and they were the first time in Slovenia. So we got a lot of media attention from that, and we got essentially quite immediately access also to like politicians and people like that. Very, very long story short, even without having like a very specific call to action, this resulted in farm animal welfare reform in Slovenia. And I got to stand on that little podium there doing some blah, blah, blah that didn't do anything for anyone. But at least like it gave me confidence that this talk here is not the worst that I will ever make. And yeah, like through this process, we acquired experience in only basically media relations and something about the legislative process. But we didn't have any experience in campaigning in general, which is like a very big thing. Communications with the public, fundraising, nothing at all, marketing, social media, we didn't do any of that, volunteers, alliances, or like having a proper organization, like division of responsibilities, things like that. We had nothing of the sort a year ago. So yeah, what do we decided to do with this lack of experience, right? Only start a very, very, very ambitious legislative campaign, which aims for banning cages for hens, banning gestation crates, banning farrowing crates. And just so that I don't appear completely crazy at the start, there are some benefits of having a multi-species ask, and that is that you can have plenty media angles, you can do multiple investigation around the same campaigns, and I think this is crucially for us. was crucially for us, like you get a lot of negotiation variables. Like if you do just hands, you might be like thinking about phase out periods and, oh, are we going to do moratorium on small scale farmers or not, things like that. But with this, you can have more. And there is like a very specific context for doing this ambitious campaign, and that is like that the current government in Slovenia is unusually animal friendly. The prime minister had a talk in Strasbourg, basically calling for more plant-based stuff. His girlfriend is a vegan animal rights activist. Like stuff is good currently, and we basically needed to grab this opportunity, very short time window, and we basically had to start a campaign, and we decided on a very ambitious one, because even if we don't get everything what we ask for, we'll likely get something. Then there's also like some things in our favor, and that is that on our NGO scene, we have quite little competition, and we are still the fresh new kids on the block. So have a okay reputation. I will just quickly say what is the current state of the ban. It's going on really good, even though it's been a very short time. Like the government basically said, okay, we're going to employ a new person to work on this ban. And not only that, they are going to like try to write a better super standard for all species. So kind of good stuff. And they also supported the cage-free thing on the European level, which is, yeah, some of our lobbying efforts went to that. So yeah, like a certain Yuri now might be asking like, where's the fundraising part? Like get to the point. And I do have like some major points around that. And that is like that for us, fundraising was like a really big enabler. Maybe not the answer to everything, but like was really spearheaded our thinking and campaign much forward. And one of the points that I would make is that having to think about fundraising, small donor fundraising in particular, leads to really good campaign design. And why is that? Fundraising from small donors, these are ordinary people that you have to convince to give you not only their support, they have to give you their money, their hard-earned money, right? And this means that you have to have really good communications with them. And if you want to have good communications, you have to develop like this strategic empathy stuff, knowing your audience, knowing their values, and how to get multiple people outside your immediate team group excited, right? And yeah, once you like grow your audience, that actually also leads to a lot of new volunteers, that leads to even more campaign support. And what is also crucial is that growth and success, even if you don't have like major time stones, goals, milestones in your campaign where you can say, oh, we really succeeded at making this. Like you can still feel the growth, you can feel the success because your volunteer base is growing, your support is growing among the public. And this is a really good antidote against like feeling burned out as an activist, feeling like you have your energy depleted and also financially, right? And as a bonus, right, you having to be in a position to excite the public is completely like commensurate with you having to excite your volunteer base, which is like really important for the campaign. And it's even important to excite your core team, because if you launch a campaign and you're not excited about this, it just won't go as well as it could be, right? And there's like, okay, developing strategic empathy is also good for negotiations with farmers, with politicians, things like that. And it was also good for us. We used to have always this kind of lone wolf organizational strategy, a really small core team doing everything, right? All the knowledge is only in us and we do everything, but this has been replaced by a more growth-oriented mindset, both especially regarding like growing the volunteer base. Okay, and the main point number 2 is that fundraising synergizes both with like campaign goals and your organizational growth. It's kind of the same point as point one. It's just vice versa, but I'll go over it again because it's so cool. And yeah, basically, like this is the high level thing, is that legislative campaigns absolutely require you to have good public support. This is because, I mean, we have an animal-friendly government right now, but if we just did it with them, without the support of the public, like the next government comes into power, they can just revert all the changes if they want. And this is especially like, I mean, Martin Baluk talked about this. Apparently, this is VGT experience as well. This is not just something out of my head. And yeah, then it's like the case that growing public support absolutely requires you to have good communications with the public, and it requires you to bring all these new departments in the organization, doing social media, doing marketing, establishing alliances with other people. And all this added complexity actually requires you to both like fill these roles with volunteers, but also like bring up your organizational structure. It cannot be like free for all anymore. Now you have to have a really good, I mean, not really good, but at least somewhat defined division of responsibilities. You need to like produce documents so that everyone in your organization is aligned on what's happening, right? Both the core team, because I mean, if you don't have a document, sometimes not even your core team actually knows what's happening. And by documents, I mean like having a communication strategy, having a really clear roadmap of, again, some milestones and timelines about when certain campaign actions are going to happen, things like that. And yeah, okay, all this, yeah, like in turn feeds into the growth of the organization, and it's basically a self-reinforcing virtuous circle. I'm talking about this circle more on the meta level, like the next talk, and I guess the previous talk was also like more about the fundraising, like the virtuous circle that's associated with ads. I probably won't go too much into that because other people have. Okay, and like one more illustration of this synergy of like fundraising goals, increasing campaign goals, and organizational structure is that, I mean, most people usually present this data as like showing how much leads they generated, and this is also the case for us. But the point I actually want to make is that these numbers rise together. So while can I use this? Wow. While you like bring your email contacts up, you at the same time obviously do the fundraising. With bringing email contacts up, you get a lot more people that you can actually inspire to volunteer for you. You can ask them to do other campaign actions, things like that. For us, the core team expanded. Like the single donors, there were so much more of them that it basically, not basically, but like 3/4 paid for the campaign by that point. So it's kind of good. Like the full-time employees, this is actually not related to this talk. It's like due to having a good injection of funding, also very crucial thing. And yeah, as I said, like the volunteer base really grew substantially. Okay, and I actually didn't put like telephone numbers here, which are also important, and we haven't used them yet. But yeah, this is also what very much grew. Okay, and like again, for people on YouTube that were like in a similar position as me a year ago, like there had to be, for us as an organization coming from the radical flank a bit more, there had to be some mindset shifts that we had to do. And like for some reason, like a really hard one for us was that people actually like to donate. So you have sometimes this mindset that you are begging people for money, right, as an organization, and this is somehow uncool. But it's actually the other way around, right? People, if you have a good, exciting campaign, people get the rare chance of being a part of it and being a part of something great. So it's actually, yeah, they enjoy it. People enjoy donating, apparently. And the second thing is like investment pays off. Like you need to kind of have some investment mindset. For us, being a really cheap, poor organization at first, like it seemed really disgusting, like looking forward, okay, we will have to spend so much money on a website. Cannot we do it much more efficiently? Shouldn't we like do it with some volunteers, or maybe like somebody from the team should do it? But no, this is like really inefficient. You should like think about it, that it pays off. And like the really nasty thing for us was also that software companies like the MailChimp, MailerLite, email companies, all the donor gates, like they skim a lot of money from your small donors. Feels iffy, but this is just how it is. Like in the end, it is their decision to entrust you with their money, and it's good to spend money in order to get money. Animals benefit at the end. So these are a couple points on that. Okay, now like as a promise again to like those people on YouTube, like I haven't ever seen people like if they gave talks like this, I didn't see like what the timelines were, how much time people actually took to do things. So I want to like make this clear in some detail. So we got some confirmation of seed funding that we can actually do a big campaign in September. Like choosing a campaign took us a really long time. We tried to optimize around that. We took a lot of advice. It was very valuable. And I mean, this period was already kind of pre-campaign period, because we didn't only coordinate with like what the animal rights people said, but we approached like local veterinary experts and other people, like in the sense of, will they support this campaign if we actually do it, right? So yeah, and then once we decided on the campaign, the preparation took about 6 months, and we launched it in May. And in July, we had the end of our first phase, and we'll start our second phase in October. And again, just to make it clear, what was our capacity, just to like maybe inspire people that things can be done, even if you're really, really small, and that this kind of campaign strategy, when it synergizes with fundraising and organizational growth, it works, right? We were at first like 3 full-time activists. I mean, granted, we had some connection with some volunteer-based from the grassroots side, and we had 2 paid consultants. This was also like beyond crucial. And the available funds were like 30K for campaigning and 44 for 2 full-time employees. Again, I put this up because everything is context dependent. Like if you are an organization that wants to do like a big campaign, use this all stuff. Yeah, you need some seed funding, and this is either can be done with before campaign fundraising, like the previous talk and the next talk. No, the next talk will be a bit about, or yeah, like you can have an organization supporting you. And yeah, like in terms of our skills in the core team, we have 2 generalists, like Karin. She's really good, can do anything. On the artsy side, reliable. Yasmina is a very organized person. Like this was crucial for us to have an organized person. And I'm like also a generalist and a bit chaotic. So I needed to have some counterpart to that. Okay. So again, like this might be like when I was trying to get information about how to do campaigns, right? I was a bit maybe confused about that, because there's a lot of suggestions, advice to just steal stuff, right? But I would like to caveat that yes, steal stuff from other campaigns, like steal good ideas, but not in isolation, right? Like strategies need to be complete, really make sense for you, for your specific context, even for your specific time. because not everything is replicable. You should either test things out, like really know your local environment, seek advice from people, things like that. And some examples on that is like, I mean, we got inspired by Gabriel's document from Tushti Narvai about how to do this integrated fundraising and campaigning effort that really worked well for ECIs, right? And it's a long, detailed document. Like it has really many good points, but you might be excused for thinking, okay, I will take this point and this point and this point, but maybe not this point because I don't like it, and this point because I don't really have capacity to do that. But no. These things really have to be thought through. Like some example is like, okay, so many organizations did like this crying influencer video, right? And it seemed to work 5 years ago, 3 years ago even, but now the algorithms changed a bit, like it wouldn't work in our case. And if we didn't test this, or at least ask advice from other people, if it makes sense to do this, like we would lose a lot of time on a very ineffective part of the campaign. One other example is like, okay, you do ads, right? Okay, ads, that will bring you contacts, they might bring you money, and not doing testing. The difference between our best performing ad and our worst performing ad is, I think, like 100-fold, something like that in terms of generating leads, and also in terms of return on investment. Some just completely lose your money, some actually give you money. And I think, yeah, the next talk will be about this, right? I have some more unsolicited advice because I'm here anyway. So for, again, organizations in our position, what was important for us to hear was when we were prepping, like there was a 6 months period, we got so much in our heads that we are like, oh, we are going to do launch in March, and then we are going to do the first investigation April, and la. And we communicated with some people, and we were like, we thought we were beholden to them somehow, right? Or even somehow imagine that we were already beholden to the public. But this is completely not the case. Nobody knows about your campaign. Nobody gives a shit before you actually launch it. So it's really okay to change stuff. It's really okay to extend timelines, even deadlines, if you think it makes sense. And then the other point would be that really benefited us, like reaching outside of our audience. This could mean influencers. It didn't really work that much for us. What really worked for us was reaching out to friendly organizations. There was a lot of animal protection NGOs, but even organizations outside of that that supported our ask immediately on the launch. They made, I think they 2x'd our launch of the campaign for sure. And yeah, like as a small organization, you really need to focus. One campaign is more than enough. So cool. Okay, maybe for other organizations as well. Like this is what Yuri kind of taught us. You have very little control of the outside world. You don't know what's going to happen in media on the day of your launch, things like that. So it's good to have the campaign set up in phases. You need to like think that, you need to throw the dice many times, basically. And one major point that is probably endemic across all people is like the planning fallacy. I just recommend people to Google that up. The rationality community has a lot of resources on that. Okay, let me just see like how much I can do in 10 minutes. Oh yeah, I'm basically finished. Okay, and now this really ugly looking word map, you probably haven't seen such ugly thing before, but what I want to do again is for people in my position to kind of have a feel of the complexity, like what all comes into a campaign, what all to think about it, and I'll just basically spend 2 sentences on each concept. in no particular order. Like you have your sharing and commando, commando and your social media army on the launch. These are the people that, when you have your launch, are the first people that comment your social media stuff, so that you kind of generate artificially already support for the campaign. You need your roadmap so you can align your team, stakeholders. Social media, kind of obvious, like most of the content to do lead generation comes from social media. It doesn't come from traditional media, which is what we did before. Bubble bursting, I mentioned before, you try to reach audiences beyond your immediate environment. This is by using other people's audiences. There's a difference between single donors and regular donors. Regular donors are much more valuable. I get that this is obvious for most people here, but it's something that we actually had to learn. Having a really good website is important. Ads, incredibly important for getting more reach than you would otherwise. Doing A/B testing, as I mentioned before, super important. Having a big launch, okay, email marketing, right? You generate your leads, but don't do email marketing. It's incredibly inefficient. You should do that, look it up. UTMs, it's a way to track where your leads came from, so that you can, it's like a measurement and evaluation thing, so that you know what's going on. And yeah, reporting, again, a measurement and evaluation thing, you need it. Yeah, things like that, okay? So I will conclude the talk with a very brief call to action. So if you are in a position starting up, we are offering help. You should contact us. We can either help you ourselves or share who to contact to get really good advice on starting a big campaign. And then my main point is that advancing campaigning and fundraising efforts can be done at the same time. It's like a synergous relationship. You have your campaign, you have your fundraising, blah, comes together. And yeah, and I want to say, for the people in the conference, that we obviously also need some help. We are collecting currently resources on cage-free transitions. That is both for mother pigs and for hens. We want to know, what were your timelines, economics of transition, how did the negotiations go, what was the context for the transition, did you have good relations with government, did you do it with a pressure campaign, was it forced, where the money from the transition came from, things like that. I would like to discuss campaigning in general. We are still ridiculously new to this, so any advice is good. And we are definitely open for funding. We need more capacity, and the time window is very short. There's 1 year until the government becomes completely preoccupied with the next election campaign. So it's a good time to act. Yeah, and this is kind of a scientific practice, which is where I come from. You have an acknowledgement slide at the end. So I'd like to thank the people providing seed funding. This was Anima International. Without that, we couldn't start the campaign for sure. And there's some funding from Pollination Project and Thrive Philanthropy. Also a Craigslist fund recently. And then I would like to thank my co-founders, which are not with us anymore. But again, without them, the organization would not exist. And definitely, I learned so much from these 2 conferences, watching YouTube. I learned a lot from VGT, that they did initial help before we got professionalized and things like that. Yuri, our fundraising consultant, if you're not working with him and if he has time, you should definitely try to. Animal Ask really helped us with when we had this period of deciding which campaign are we going to choose. They broke through one of our decision deadlocks. It was really good to have them. And yeah, basically 1,000 other influences. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. All right, so now we have our Q&A session, and I will read the questions from the app, but we are open for the questions from the floor as well. So we will start with the app, and it's not really a question, but I think it's nice. So I know it's a fundraising talk, but what is the state of your current legislation efforts?
Oh yeah, I didn't put it much because I thought I didn't really have time. So it's kind of like, okay, I can break it down by hands and the two different caging systems for mother pigs. And for hands, it's basically, okay, Slovenia is already 85% cage free, basically due to international retailer commitments. And so the government is basically saying, oh yeah, this can totally be done, no problem, right? And the big producers have already switched, and the small producers don't really have lobby power to do. I mean, they have some power to do something about it, but they won't resist that much. So like the hen ask is looking very, very good. And for the mother pigs, like there's like the gestation crates and farrowing crates, right? The gestation crates, we have agreement from the official experts in Slovenia, this should be banned. And then the government basically also saying, yeah, let's look it up. They're already making economic analysis about this, how this can be done. And even the farming lobby, like after 3 discussions, they were like the representative of the pig farmers. I mean, first they didn't budge, but then on the last talk, they basically say, yeah, we know that this is the direction we have to go. So this is looking promising. And then on the farrowing crates, the experts here don't really follow our ask completely. Like we ask for free farrowing, but they say this 5-day period around like piglets being born. And so this is probably what it's going to be next as well. And yeah, like from the government side, from the ministry side, it's basically the representative, the Secretary of State, had made really good statements in support of the campaign in terms like it's cage-free stuff should be done both in Slovenia and in the EU. But and they have now like not starting to recruit. Basically now in September, they are employing a person to work specifically on the cage-free legislation. And not only that, they want to use this person to also define a better super standard for all species. Because currently you get subsidies as a farmer for being higher welfare, let's say 10% more space for pigs, but this is not really based on any scientific stuff, right? It's a really arbitrary super standard. So this is apparently also in the making. Yeah.
All right, so next question. Audience would like to know, could you name one more time the document manual that you use to learn more about fundraising campaigns? Because you mentioned it.
I don't know the name exactly, but you should probably Google Tushti Narvai ECI campaign, integrated campaign, things like that, and you will find it. Do you know? Exactly, just write to us. Yeah.
All right, another popular question is, how did you know that influencer video would not work at this time? How would you know what content is influential and what's not?
It wouldn't work exactly as it was done before, which is on Instagram and Facebook, apparently. And like the contact that told us this was like the originator of this very concept. And like she's doing this work with many organizations, and she started to notice that this doesn't work. It doesn't mean that other influencer strategies don't work. It's just like this particular one probably want for us. Yeah.
All right. What was the ask for this fundraiser?
For the fundraiser?
Yeah.
I don't know. My team is doing that a bit more, but it's like doing like these individual stories, like supporting. I mean, it's okay. What is the ask? Like, how is the campaign integrated with fundraising? It's basically the campaign is centered. The public-facing campaign is centered around a petition to gather signatures to ban all these cages, and at the same time, this is like a lead-generating campaign. Yeah. The website? Huh? Yeah. Okay, if that's not. Opa, sorry. Yeah, I can show the video. Yeah. I think I have it somewhere. Oh yeah, it's here. Okay, so this is how the website looked for us. Like this is machine translated, so don't worry too much about the copy. It's quite simple prompts. It has like this iceberg structure that you have a little tags, but if you want to learn more, it leads to more tags. It has about 3 prompts, and then you can sign. You put your name in and your email. The telephone number is actually not mandatory, but it's like in the middle of the screen, so that's like a little trick so that people want to fill it in. And yeah, basically this counts for both as a petition signature, and it's a new lead for the organization that you can use both for fundraising and for campaign actions. But then also, like just after people confirm their signature on the email, they immediately get asked to donate some money. And we had like a A/B testing here, like starting with a single donation first or a regular donation immediately. This video shows single donation first. So yeah, this is how it looks like. Then people can also share the petition on social media. And then after they do that, they might be, even if they were first asked to do a single donation, they could do a regular donation second. We actually didn't get almost any regular donations out of this. Most of the regulars came out of the email marketing based on the leads generated during the campaign. Yeah. I mean, this it doesn't look so bad in Slovenian. This is like a bit of, yeah. It works, like it really works, and you need to use simple language. So yeah, I think, again, the next talk will probably be more about this, right? Yeah.
All right, so we have our last question. Did you start with getting more leads before starting the fundraising ask, or were you doing it simultaneously? So did you start with getting more leads before starting the fundraising ask, or were you doing it simultaneously?
Yeah, simultaneously. Like the website immediately asks you to donate money, but then, as I said, like most of the regular donors and donations came from the email marketing afterwards. Like, but afterwards means still in the middle of the campaign, and yeah, it's some simultaneous basically.
All right, so that's all the questions, and I want to thank you very much for being here. Thank you all for listening and attending this lecture. Please remember to rate this talk, and thank you, and see you at the next session.